Hey, it's Shop Talk, baby. This is the show where it's okay to be you. We're talking from Yale to jail and from the church house to the pimp house. Nothing's excluded on Shop Talk. So if you don't have a phone, I suggest you borrow one. Call in and voice your opinion live every Saturday morning from 10 a.m. to 12 noon. Yeah, that's right, 10 a.m. to 12 noon. Don't forget to Shop Talk with your girl, because right here, oh, we keeps it real. Good morning to my lovely people. Welcome to Shop Talk with Mel, and thank you for tuning in on your favorite podcast. Today's who's co-hosting with me, because I won't even call him a guest because he's been on here several times. So my co-host is entertainer, actor, Art B in the building. What's happening, Art B?
Good morning again. What's up, y'all? How y'all doing out there?
Hey. Right. You see my phony sound effects?
Yeah, I heard you doing it. Okay, it's all
no,
good.
I'm trying to make it happen. Man. I'm telling you.
Fair. That's it.
That's it. I'm almost there.
You there?
I'm there. I'm doing it.
Right.
Doing it. What's going on? How was your week?
Man, my week is so busy. It's like I'm with my kids and, working. And, man, I tell people all the time, man, they have my schedule. I don't think they can handle it. They would lose their mind, So, but, hey, I'm here for another one. So I'm glad to be in the land of the living. That's all I can say. It's a blessing. And, hey, I'm like, hey, we here. You know what I'm saying? We breathing, so it's
right.
Like, can't take that for granted nowadays. You got to live your best life and do what you got to do out here. You know what I'm saying? And take care of you and yours and love much as possible. You know what I'm saying? Don't take nothing for granted nowadays. Nothing, because you never know, never know what tomorrow holds. That's all I believe. So
now, you know what? You are right on that one, big time.
Yeah.
You're right on that one. I mean, for real, because you definitely have to love on your people while they are here and live every day as if it's your last. Being brought up in the church, you hear that, every Sunday, week after week. Tomorrow's not promised. And let me tell you, I was talking to a young person, and when I say young person, I'm talking elementary age. I think 6th grade, I think he was in the 6th grade. And he was just talking about church, and he knew, because I asked him, I said, you ready for the weekend? Well, he said he didn't like church, which was really interesting to me because, I want to know why. Mm-hmm. This young man said to me, every week when he go to church, all they do is tell him that they're going to die. And I said, huh? He said, yeah, every single week we go there. I sit there and I listen, and he goes with his grandmother. So he said, I have to listen. I can't nod off and fall asleep, right?
You know what happened at church.
Right. And so I started laughing.
You'll get pinched on your thigh. You better wake up.
You better wake up. But I thought it was interesting because he said week after week, he hear, now this 6th grade, what's that, like 11 and 12? 11, 12 years old. He said, every week I hear I'm gonna die. I better be good or I'm gonna die. I better be good because I'm about to die. And I loved his honesty, but he was right though. If you think about it, it's like, I don't know what church he belongs to, but if he got the message, didn't he?
Yeah, he understands.
He got it. The beginning, like, do good, you're gonna die so you could go to heaven. And that's what he gathered. Man, I sat there and laughed. I said, it's a little more to it. I said, you have to learn. I said, there's great stories in there. He was like, stories? I said, yeah, like, a book. You read it, a novel. And he said, what kind of novel? I said, you'd be mighty interested. You might not put the book down, But he shared that. And I thought that was interesting, what he receives. what young people receive.
Bro.
And I said, do you go to Sunday school? He doesn't go to Sunday school, so he's up there with the adults. So he like missed everything. He went right into the meat, you know what I mean? Like the growth, how you layers to it. He right up in there.
See, you gotta, they absorb different, you know, you have to bring them in, you know, study like growing up. I remember going to Sunday school, but, you know, these kids nowadays, they don't know anything about that. So it's different for them, you know. Like I said, they used to do that. They used to have Sunday school to where they would get an understanding, you know. That's why it's called Sunday school, to teach you about the Bible. So it's important that they go to Sunday school so they can learn gradually. You just don't throw them in the fire and they think they're gonna die and get good. So it's like they're all kind of confused, you know what I'm saying? They're like, wait a minute, I'm gonna die unless I be nice, you know what I'm saying? It's like they have to learn the stories to understand, you know, and it's important that you tell young people that, because if you don't, then their interpretation will be so discombobulated, because they're like, wait a minute, you know, I'm gonna die unless I be good, you know, and it's like, it shouldn't be like that. It should be, they should learn the gradual way, you know, and then they can take baby steps, as they used to say, to understanding the Bible. So yeah.
He is a baby. You know, it's like,
Yeah, you know, he's a baby, but they just threw him into the fire and he like, this is what I'm dealing with, you know. He gonna be scared to move, you know what I'm saying? He gonna be like at the crib stuck, like, do I move, grandma?
He said he leaves depressed. And I said, well, if that's the way you interpret it, I can see.
That's because nobody's not telling him the real. You know, his grandma's not sitting down talking to him about what it's really all about. You know what I'm saying? So
he need to get a little bit deeper. But when you said love, you know, we talked about what actually you started when you said, you know, love people and blah blah blah. It took me back to that conversation I had. I'll see it.
In this day and age, you have to give people their flowers, no matter what the situation is. You know, when I see people that I haven't seen in a long time, I show them love. I was out with my kids yesterday at the mall, and I seen one of my guys, and it was funny because we hadn't seen each other in a long time, and we had spoke, and we slapped. You know how brothers do. We slapped 5, you know, and it was so loud and it's so hard, and like he was with his family, they was like, "Dang, that was so loud. That was so loud." But when it's real, and I thought about it before they left, I wanted to say, when you really got real love for a brother, and it was Rodney Duke III.
Okay.
And him and his family, and when we had spoke, we had slapped 5 real hard hugs, and they was like, "Dang, they was like, that was so loud." I was like, listen, when you got love for somebody, you know what I'm saying? I hadn't seen him in a few years, and we known each other for the past 30 years. We've always been cool. But you know, when you see somebody you haven't seen in a long time, it's like you give them that real love, and it's like we gave each other real love, and they were just tripping. I was like, that was just, his daughter was like, I was like, we still recovering. And I was like, that was so loud, that was so hard. But it's like, when you really love a brother, you give him that type of love. You know what I'm saying? So that's what it's all about.
It definitely is. It definitely is. Let me get the number out for the lovely people that are just tuning in. 619-902-2287. 619-902-2287. It's getting ready to get going. This conversation getting ready to get deep. It already kind of got deep, but it's getting ready to get deep. Today's topic is it's okay to be you. If you are on Facebook, I try to do a Facebook Live as well so you guys can see us. YouTube, and on your favorite podcast, just look up Shop Talk with Mel for my listening audience, and feel free to join in and chat with me and my boy RB. All right. And if you are on Facebook, I want to put this out here. If you are on Facebook and you are viewing, you can go to the Shop Talk with Mel page and share from there, or my personal page if some of you guys are friends, because I know all my Facebook friends is listening. Go ahead and share it. All right, lovely people. Again, 619-902-2287. Speaking of Facebook, I need hurry up and share it before it be shut down again. Bro, we talking in the parking lot.
Yeah, I remember that conversation. Yeah, it was interesting when Facebook shut down. I mean, I was like, wow, like
what's your thoughts on that?
They actually got in trouble for that, for shutting down. Yeah, they got in trouble for going dark.
6 billion he had to pay for 24 hours. He lost 6 billion in 24 hours. What's your like?
6 billion is a write-off to him. I mean, $6 billion, that's he writing that off. He worth over what, $100-something billion.
122 to be exact.
Exactly.
Minus 6.
He just wrote that off. That is 6 billion, write a check. We're fine. Don't worry about it. That's what they do. When you're a billionaire like that, I mean, he's living off the interest of that much money. $122 billion. I couldn't even imagine the interest of that. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, to be able to have that type of wealth and not even sweat $6 billion is just, that's amazing to me. So I'm like, wow.
It is.
I'm just writing off $6 billion. That's just nuts.
Like, how does work?
Yeah.
And you know what's crazy? It's crazy because it's just social media, the way people can communicate with one another. There's a lot of people that don't go to the class reunion because they feel like they just saw the person. Right. Like, I see what you're doing on FB, or Instagram.
Yeah, and that's and I was even talking about that. I was having a discussion with that with my best friend / cousin. It's like, I feel like people have gotten to the point to where they have been so comfortable on social media that they forget kind of how to live, interact, how we once did. You know, I found it interesting when social media shut down. I was like, on social media, that's kind of crazy. So I'm like, for me, it was like, what do you do if social media does shut down?
The Instagram models they got to find another career.
You got to go back to the basics. You know what I'm saying? You got to pick up the phone and call folks, you know, like we used to, you know.
Get an agent to reach out.
Right. If you think about it in retrospect, you know, let's go back for a minute. Think about how we survived, you know, back in the early 80s. You know, we talked on the phone.
Yeah,
you know
we talked on the telephone.
We went to each other's house, and you know, we met different places. You know what I'm saying? That's how we connected. You know what I'm saying? We were face to face, and of course, nowadays it's like, you know, you can get on your phone, video somebody just like we're doing now. If you think about the technology of today, you know, the technology of today is amazing. You know, back then we had to pick up the roto dial and dial the phone. You know what I'm saying? We had to click over. You know, caller ID was, who was this? You know what I'm saying?
Listen here, we would have been rich if we would have had this when we were younger. Because I'm like, y'all not taking it. Like, some of them are, but
yeah, we would have been, because of the technology. And it's so amazing to me today how we can reach each other without even leaving our homes. You know what I'm saying?
I remember they were talking about we were going to be able to see people. That was back, I think I was in like the 7th grade, where they said that, in the future, we'll be able to look at each other and talk to each other. You be on the phone with your little boyfriend. I love you. You love me. You like, I get to see you. You know, like, but it really is interesting how technology has changed. But I'm gonna tell you, I'd have been so rich, because back in the day, you know, I used to go to the corner store and buy the Right On magazines.
There you go, no doubt. Right On was the stuff back then. Right On was it. That's how you knew. You know?
Right. Or,
you know.
And you know what's interesting too? Back then, you had a whole lot of people. There was a lot of adults that was investing in the youth, because concerts was coming, like we talked about last week. You had to, you know, it was a lot of promoters out there, concert promoters, you know. I remember seeing the signs on the poles. So we were able to actually look around and see things. Now you just have to be on social media in order to actually know what's going on. And that, I think, is where a lot of us are losing our audiences, because there's a lot of people who don't even use social media. That's why I say, check out Shop Talk with Mel on your favorite podcast. Just look us up. Y'all know Shop Talk, one word, baby, one word. The I think they need to, look. They want on too. See, that's the difference.
Here we go again. Hold on one second.
But the
here, just give me a second. I'll be right back.
Okay. The that's what, hey, when you're a parent, that's what you got to do. You got to do what you got to do when you're a parent. I'm like, yeah, handle your business, and that's it. Like, hey, got to do what I got to do. But back then you were able to look at the beauty of nature. You were able to look at, like, we used to put the signs on, you know, the poles of who was coming, and you were able to communicate. Now that's not there. And if, like I was saying, if you don't have social media, you miss what's going on, because a lot of people advertise via social media and feel as though, well, I don't have to send an invitation. I can just do it on a social media site, and everybody will know what the heck is going on.
Right.
But that's not the case anymore, because you know, you have people who are not on social media all day, every day. They're not. So it's just like, okay, what do we do?
You have
Or
some people that are
go
afraid
ahead.
of social media. You have some people that are afraid of social media. Some people don't deal with it at all. You know, so
Why?
They
They don't want the people in their business.
I believe
The people
that,
in
you
their
know,
phone.
that some people are like that. Some people are very, very some people are very, very particular about their privacy. You know what I'm saying? And how their privacy is so important. So, you know, the thing I learned is that, you know, I've talked to a few people like, I ain't on social media. I'm like, okay, but or you're not dealing with social media, you know, but some people just feel that way. They don't want, I have a cousin, he does no social media at all.
And that's good, because my son, he's not interested in FB. Let me ask you this, because this is a new thing that's going on that I've noticed.
Okay.
Employers are now requiring their staff to download the app of their employment and clock in via their phones.
I do that. Yeah.
What, you do that?
Yes, I do.
Okay. What's your thoughts on that, though? Where, you know, with this new technology that your employer is asking you to use your data and your space on your phone, let me finish, to download their app, because that's your space on your phone. Are you being compensated?
You know what? I never really looked at it that way, but what it does is it's like, you know, that's a good question. I don't know why we're not being compensated for using our data from our phones.
For your job, for your dream.
Yeah, I don't know
That's
why
their dream.
Wow, that's a good question. I never thought about that. Wow.
You know, I'm an ass. I be loving. You know, I'm gonna start some stuff.
I never thought about that. Now you're gonna make me go to work and get in trouble. Answer the question. Why y'all paying me for downloading this? But technology makes it easier. Well, see what it is. It's like I don't work in an office, so I don't have to go in and click the clock. You know what I'm saying? Like some people got to go in and click a clock, whereas what it is, I work remotely. It's like I barely have to go to my office. You know, everything is done on the phone. So that's the thing that I'm doing. You know, so that's what's going on, is that I barely have to use the
data. I mean the
well, I have to use the data to clock in. I have to use the data to clock in. Lock the door.
Look, okay. So here's my whole thought. When you have to, like at certain facilities, let's say like the hospital, I'm going to say the hospital because I do know one of the local hospitals in this area is requiring people to use their data, download the app, so your storage space, and clock in that way. Clock in via your phone. Now, here's my thoughts, because you already know where I'm at, because I'm gonna start the trouble.
You're gonna start a lot of trouble with this.
Listen, no. So the location. So you have to be so many feet away from whatever the building to clock in. Okay, so one, you're not getting paid. They're not compensating you for using your data. Then you have to be at a certain area to clock in. So, okay, you're on the facility. Now you just gave them access to everything you do on your phone. A lot of people, let me tell you why, because a lot of people don't know when you download the app and it says allow, all that other stuff. When you download that app, everything is on. You have to go into your settings and take stuff off. A lot of people don't know that. And I said, well, maybe what they're trying to see, track people to see because they have access to your photos, whatever's going on in your phone, what you're posting.
Oh Lord.
Yes. And like, are you on Facebook while you on the clock?
Mm-hmm.
Now that I can see they may want to know, but not my personal. So you have to go into your settings. If you did download it, your job actually does this. Please listen, if you don't want them all in your business or having access, because they can definitely call you into the office. Me being a manager, I used to be able to go in. I knew passwords. And let me tell you, I knew this one girl and I told her, I said, listen, you cannot be on Facebook while you're on the job. She didn't know. I'm putting this out here. I didn't want that responsibility. Just let me hit the gate, do my 8, hit the gate. You know what I mean? Where I had to tell her, I won't tell you what her password is because she may not have changed it. But what I did to let her know, because I don't think she believed it, but I wanted to put her on to it because I didn't think it was fair. I didn't think it was right. Like, this is nuts. However, she was on the clock. And I said to her, I'm like the whistleblower. Like, that's why Facebook went down. Yeah. But I told her, as I was walking out, I just looked back and I said to her, without telling her, they're watching you. I said her passcode. I said, take it easy. And I said her passcode. And she was like, Mel. I said, have a good day. You know, I try to put us, I'm trying to put people on, from one nurse to another. Like, listen, I don't think it's okay. And me, I was salary, so all I had to do was sign in. But for the people that were clocking in, they had access and they knew your passcode. So what if somebody is dirty? What if somebody is dirty? Because we know people are peopling, and they're dirty, and they take your passcode and try to get into, because they know what bank, if you got the app on your phone, they got access to all of that. And they be like, oh, let me put this passcode in, because people dirty. Just something to think about. You know, I'm gonna always give you something to think about.
Yeah, that's a lot to think about, especially, and I think about the fact that I do, we do everything from an app, you know what I'm saying? We clock in, we clock out, we do paperwork on the app. So I never really thought about that. That's something I would definitely have to look into. But I think as far as our apps go, we just clock in and clock out and do our work, you know what I'm saying? And the only thing they really see.
Because you're doing it. Because you're doing what you're supposed to do. And so it's different. So people that are doing what they are supposed to do, they probably.
I mean, we do this stuff on our phone, but I've never heard anything about it.
That's because you ain't doing nothing. It's almost like, who breaks the law? The people that ain't got nothing to lose, like the PPP. Like, I ain't about to do no PPP. You know what I mean? I have something to lose.
That's a whole nother show right there.
It's a whole nother show. And watch this. I'm about to add on to that. I'm gonna put this in the appendage. Pin it. When you date people, you better start dating people who have something to lose, especially if you do. Because if you don't, listen, you be like, you still be looking like, wait, what happened to my life? Well, it's important. You better date somebody who got something to lose.
That's things that make you go, make you think. So you have to, I feel like, social media is just what it's for. It's social. It's about being social. It should be no other than that, I mean, I feel like it should be for when people, are doing things, if they're promoting their business, if they're, if they're really being social, they're meeting people. I've met a lot of people on social media. I've met Dallas fans. I've met people from other cities. You know what I'm saying? I've built relationships.
How are you handling yourself publicly? Integrity, character, and a lot of, and I don't blame them, because if, with my business, and I'm looking at the people that, that are connected to me. How are you handling yourself outside? And you know how what's that old saying? Birds of a feather flock together.
Yeah. Well, it should be a thing where I feel
sometime that's what need to be there.
Well, I mean, I feel like, people have kind of blown social media out of proportion. A lot of the things that are being posted, and, I feel like it's not being used for the right purpose sometimes. I'm going to say sometimes, like I said, if you have a business, or if you're really being sociable, we don't need to know all your personal business. I understand, like, when people pass away, things of that nature, your birthday. Yeah, you want people to know about your birthday, things of that nature. But I feel like
it's basic things.
Right. When it's the basic things, but I feel like when you're, when you're putting your business on Facebook or somebody is talking about you on Facebook, I mean, come on, it's time to grow up. You know what I'm saying? I feel like the old adage, if you got a problem with me, let's sit down face to face and have a come to Jesus meeting. You know what
And
I'm
see,
saying?
that's what's not happening. People are now texting. Let's go to a viewer. A viewer said the Jetsons started it.
I believe they kind of did because they were the future, and you think about it back then, during that time, only thing we missing is is the little transportation, you know what I'm saying?
Uh-huh.
But that's not far off,
Okay.
so.
Right. Here we are with another viewer. Laura said they're losing interpersonal skills.
Mhm.
Nicole said y'all old. Go ahead, Nick. Nicole
She said we
McCaskill.
old. Did she say we old?
Yeah, she did. And
Tell
that's
her
so funny.
Tell her she right with it. She just turned 50. Tell her to hush. Okay, we ain't trying to hear that. But
love it when your friends tune in. Love it when
right.
your friends tune in. I had the number here. Listen, I want to put this out here too. You have the ability to text us as well. 619-902-2287. Then that way, if you send a text, I will say your name. And if you don't want your name said, just tell me, don't say my name. But if you post it on social media, your name is already there.
Everybody's gonna see it. The thing is that
Go ahead.
what the person Laura said, it is about a lot of times people do lose their sociable skills because they're behind the phone. They're talking, they're texting, they're looking at everything behind the phone. And sometimes you do lose your social way because we get engulfed in the phone. You know what I'm saying? The phone does everything. You know what I'm saying? You can find everything on your phone.
And you can make up lies posting behind the screen. And you know what I mean? That interpersonal skill where you're able to look at somebody in the eye and see, are they telling the truth or are they not? Because a lot of people post what they post to be and not who they truly are.
Yeah, and that's another thing.
And that's POST, not supposed. Not supposed, post to be. Okay.
And that's sad when people feel like they have to, do all this falsification and and catfishing people and just doing crazy stuff,
Boredom.
or taking somebody's identity. I'm like, are you that bored where you're trying to take other people's identity and play games with it? I feel like that is just like, come on, man. Like, if you're gonna have this type of business, and me, what I personally feel about social media, it's like, if you're going to do that, I mean, I feel like people's personal should be guarded. But again, like I said, it's social media, so people are putting every and anything out there. So it's just like, you have to be careful of what you put out there, because you could put the wrong message out there and it's out there forever. So it's like, you have to be careful what you do, what you say.
And that's what I was thinking with the employers. They probably want to know who they are dealing with. And that's the point that I was getting to. Who are they actually dealing with, because they're able to have access to their integrity, their character. What are you posting on social media? And what's interesting that I like, though, I got to say this, people who work in certain fields, if they have social media, they don't have their government name. No. They have like something else. Like you have to really be searching for that person. All right, let's move on and let's get to Dave Chappelle. Did you see The Closer?
I haven't seen it yet.
Man, you should have called me. I would have been like, listen, you definitely have to see this. Now,
you gotta let me know these things. I could have been watching it last night or something.
Oh, yeah, you sure could have. But look, the world was watching it. The world was watching, but I watched it early on.
That's what I hear. I gotta see it. I've seen people posting about it and talking about it. So I'm like, okay, Dave Chappelle done shook up the world, because it's like people are going absolutely
I don't
crazy.
understand why though. I saw it. And remember before, they had this thing and he talks about the LGBTQ community, Q plus community. I got it, Marcel. That's my boy. I'll be mixing up all the letters. He'd be like, male. And I'd be like, okay, but I got it. I got it today. LGBTQ Plus,
Don't make
listen,
that the you gonna
let,
get in
let me
trouble.
tell you something. And this is where I'm going. The whole cancel culture, since this social media, because think about it, before you just changed your channel.
Right.
You weren't interested. You were like, I'm not supporting them. I'm not buying it. Change your channel. Done. Now
Right.
with the whole social media, it's like, no, we're canceling culture. President Obama talked about that whole cancel culture thing. I think it's nuts. If you don't like it, change your channel. Why is it that we have to, let me put it this way. Some people, I'm not going to say all, I'm not making a blanket statement. Some people don't know that things are offensive until someone says they're offended by it. Now, this is what I mean. Y'all see your eye roll. Here's what I'm saying. So you can't have an opinion. You can't. Somebody else can. You can't have an opinion because it hurt somebody's feelings. But what about your feelings? Where you got to walk on eggshells.
Well, here's the thing with that.
Go ahead.
The world has gotten
dialogue. Let me get comfortable. You see, you got the term. Let me get comfortable. Go ahead.
The world has gotten so super sensitive anymore to where they have, you can't just say anything anymore because of different organizations that have
I was gonna say, don't lose your thought. Did the world get more sensitive or the largest protesting group?
I would say the world's largest protesting group, because I feel like with everything that goes on in the world now, and it's like, that particular community, I'll put it politically correct, that particular community has really started up the bee's nest because of, social media. And so what happens is every little thing that somebody says, it's like, oh, it's a problem. Oh, well, we have to red flag this. We got to talk about this. We have to do that. So my whole thing is that certain people, certain communities have gotten sensitive about certain things. Like you said, if you don't like it, turn the station. There are other stations. There's other apps now that you can watch. If you don't want to watch Dave Chappelle, don't watch Dave Chappelle. Dave Chappelle has been doing comedy for a long time, and he's never shied away from about how he feels about different things that go on in the world. So my whole thing of it is that if you don't like the comedian, you don't have to buy a ticket. You don't have to turn it on and watch them. You can just honestly go and watch something else if it bothers you that much.
But guess what? They keep canceling culture. There will be no options. It's going to be nothing.
You can't cancel culture. Culture has been here way before the beginning of time. Culture started before we existed. You know what I'm saying? So it's like you can't cancel culture because you have a problem with the way this person. If we really want to go deep, we could talk about the First Amendment. Does that still exist anymore? Because you have a right to say whatever you want to say. That's his platform. He's been doing comedy for years. Like, why is this so all of a sudden now it's a big problem? Because he's been saying things. He's been talking about different things for a long time. He had a TV show. Like you said, if you don't like the state, if you don't like what's going on that particular channel, change it.
Right. Yeah, get out of here. If you don't like the content, change it. I have to ask you a question. And this is a legitimate question because we're dealing with a comedian. We're dealing with a comedian. And how do you govern the content of a comedian?
You can't.
Exactly. That's what I'm like.
You can't.
It's
their passion.
comedy.
That is their passion. That's their profession. That's what they do. So it's like, if you do not like what they're saying, you don't have to listen. Comedy has been going on for years. You have had some comedians that have said some crazy. They couldn't have handled it in the 70s because the 70s, they would have lost their mind. You had Richard Pryor, you had George Carlin, you had Red Fox, you had all
what about Mooney?
That's Paul Mooney.
That's where Richard Pryor got his stuff from there.
Paul Mooney was like, Paul Mooney in the word was just, he was detrimental, man. He would just get him. Paul Mooney didn't care. Paul Mooney said whatever was on his mind.
And that's what that's what I thought that platform was for. And what makes it comedy is because you can relate to it. And it's interesting that, okay, you could talk about this person, that person, but whoa, you better not talk about us.
But see, that's what I'm saying. It's communities that have gotten so oversensitive, and then they have this voice in social media that gives them that platform to get up there and say, oh, we don't like this, and we don't appreciate what he said, and things of that nature. But like I said, it's comedians that have been doing this for years. And like I said, the way I feel about it is the more people are open and they talk about what they feel, the more sensitive people get. You know what I'm saying? Like, I feel like I said, with Dave Chappelle, he's been doing that for a long time. And I feel like you can't censor a comedian. That's his stage. That's what he's been doing.
If you censor, you said it. If you censor a comedian, they're no longer a comedian.
Exactly. You can't censor comedy. I'm sorry. If it's funny, it may not be funny to you, but it might be funny to somebody else. That's their opinion.
Don't buy a ticket to the show. Don't watch it. They're talking about taking him off. They want him canceled off of Netflix. They want Netflix to pull him. You already know Dave do not give 5, and I ain't saying nothing because I don't curse.
Netflix is not doing anything. They're going to keep that on because that's the way that they make money.
It's chirping now, isn't that the thing? Some people don't even care what they say, long as they're still relevant and their people are still talking about it.
When it gets a buzz, that means it's you know, that means it's like, oh, that's just that buzz. When that buzz comes around, it's like people go, oh, okay, well, let me watch it.
Let me see the controversy. I'm gonna say this. You didn't see it, I'm not gonna spoil it. I really think that people see it for yourself. You can't take clips of that one and make a judgment off of the clips, because there's a thing when we were growing up, reading. How do you find out what this word meant? The way that you found out what this word meant is the context clues. Let me see the other words around it. Same thing. My thing is to watch it. I have to say, the closer was great. It was great. And they're like, oh, he's talking about that. Well, we knew that on the other one, Sticks and Stones and all that. You know, you want to see Dave Chappelle, to me, expect to be offended. And that's everybody.
It's not about offense. It's like, it's comedy. It's like he's talking about real life.
That's why I said expect to be offended. If you could go to any comedy show, you sit down front, you could be dressed to the nines. You might get capped on.
You're gonna get
listened. So it's comedy. But let me say this. Let me say this for the stick in the muds. I want to still stay on Chappelle and mention this part. What he actually, the closer is his 9th stand-up and stand-out special on Netflix. Okay. To me, it wasn't as bad as the other ones at all. I believe you could tell that he was clearly hurt. He lost a good friend of his. Her name was Daphne. She was a transgender female. And Daphne was her name. And the reason, and you could see he was hurt in it. So I'm like, okay, y'all acting like he's just like, oh, it's comedy. That was his girl. You know what I mean? And he talks about her comedy, how it was terrible, but she was funny off stage, you know. So he had her open up for him, and he talks about that in the joke. So you're still laughing all through it, you know. And people were attacking Dave Chappelle, and she came to his defense. I believe it was on Twitter. They bullied her. Remember, transgender, okay? Her own people bullied her. She committed suicide. That's the way that I took it.
But the but you see, the key thing that you said, they were friends. You know what I'm saying? They were friends.
Right.
So she understood that they had a friendship, and he understood who this person was, and she understood who he was.
Exactly.
I want to kind of go back for a second, because you were talking about like work and social media. I feel like business is business and personal is personal. Yes. You know, when Dave Chappelle is on that stage, That's business. That's how he pays his bills.
Mm-hmm.
He's off that stage. He's still a human being. He's still a man. He's still a person. He still has a right to have an opinion. He still has a life. And like I said, if they were friends and that person understood him, and she understood, and he understood that person, then my thing of it is that, if they have an understanding, like, why are you all so worried about their business? And that's a problem with people. It's like everybody got to be in everybody's business.
Yes, and
That's not cool.
And it's not. And what he was saying on the closer, without giving it away, is that, listen, it's jokes, but my friend committed suicide, and he didn't say what I said. He didn't say y'all killed him. That's the way that I feel, because words have power. But if I'm going to a comedy show, I have to understand, boom, don't take it personal. It is like me. I'm gonna laugh all day long when you be like, oh, Black people are always late. We do it to ourselves. We'll be like, what time to start? Okay, let me set my alarm 30 minutes earlier so I could be on time. You know what I mean? And it's not offensive. If it's true, it's true. You know what I mean? And it's like, okay, hold on one second. Let's see. You're live on ShopTalk. Go ahead, caller.
Hey, what's up?
Hey. Hey, we're on the topic of Chappelle, Dave Chappelle. How do you feel?
That's what I'm looking on. That's the whole question.
How do you feel about the closer? Did you watch the closer?
Oh, no, we didn't.
Y'all better hurry up before they snatch it down.
I think I'm gonna call back and I'm gonna watch it while I'm listening and call right back.
All right. Thanks. Shout out to Atlanta, Georgia.
What's up, ATL in the house?
Yes. But let me say this. On this comedy special, he did mention about the baby, and it was in a joke. I mean, he is so clever. I love intellectual comedy. He's so clever. But what he said it's interesting how you have one group, and he said the LGBTQ community, they're like, no, cancel, done, we're done. He was talking about the baby. Remember, the baby made that comment and they canceled him. The baby, the rapper. Okay, I'm with Nick. You old. Look, the baby, the rapper made that comment.
Yeah.
And he was canceled. But the baby killed a Black man in a grocery store, and nothing was spoken of. Right. Now,
it was spoken of. It was on social media. They did.
But he wasn't canceled. So what Dave Chappelle actually said is, you could kill a Black man, but you better not say nothing bad about the LGBTQ community, because you'll get canceled. But you could kill a Black. That's what he said. But so it was just boom, and that was an eye opener. It was like, come on, y'all got to look at it. And the way that I thought, I took it as if he was speaking to me, not to them. And I'm gonna tell you why. Speaking to me as a Black person, and we're forgiving people. And the reason I say that is, to me, it was a reality check. It was like, oh, wait a minute, yeah, you're right. Because let's be honest, the gays are very consistent. They're consistent.
Dave Chappelle.
As far as activism, I think. Wait. Let me say this. We tend to, okay, what happened? Okay, that's okay. So it didn't pass, and let it go. I'm not saying all of us, but if we were as consistent, some things would change, some laws would change, because you see how the LGBTQ plus community can get laws changed. We've been trying to get laws changed for over 400 years. And still, boom, let's look at this. I talked about it maybe 2 weeks ago, the George Floyd. Remember that, the George Floyd Act to defund the police, that thing? Yeah, that was like 2 weeks ago. Nobody's saying anything. The people that was for 110%, them backpedaled and pulled out. So now there's not going to be, and it wasn't about defunding, like, let's not pay the police. It's like, let's allocate these funds in different areas where it's most needed. We're in Youngstown, Ohio. We need more people to come. Let's pay them. The pay is not good for, let's be honest. The police officers don't get paid nothing going out there protecting us. And I told y'all, my loyal listening audience, I told y'all, if I was a police officer, I ain't trying to be dying. That's why I'm not in that field, because I will be hearing gunshots, and guess where I'm gonna be? 2 streets over, waiting for everything to die down. That's why I'm not a police officer. So kudos to all the police officers that's out there. Mad respect. But you guys gotta watch Dave Chappelle, The Closer, and rest in peace to Daphne. And I think that whole special was just to her. Like, oh my gosh. And how the social media will beat you up.
The thing about it is that Dave Chappelle walks in truth. He speaks in truth. And the thing about him is that, you know, when he does comedy from a real place.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying? The brother is talented and he's very funny. Even watching the Dave Chappelle show, he spoke about true things. You know, he spoke about things that happen in real life. So you cannot be mad at this man because he chooses to use his professional platform, which he's been doing for years, to
And
talk
that's
about.
what we're supposed to do, right?
Right. The
Use
things
it
that
to
he
your
talks
advantage.
about. I'm sorry.
I said, use it to your advantage. Like, this is your platform. If you want something out, put it out.
He's a brother that has been doing that for years. And of course, you know, the big thing was when he walked away from all the money and things of that nature, he was like, yo, it's not about selling out. He's trying to keep it real.
Mhm.
You know,
and he's an activism. He's an activist.
And if you remember his show, when Keeping It Real goes wrong, you know what I'm saying? It's like, it kind of plays into that because by him keeping it real, this will happen when it goes wrong. But it really is really not going wrong. It's just like he's speaking from his personal standpoint. He does his comedy and what he feels, what he's been passionate about for a long time. And I feel like I said, you have certain communities that are so sensitive about that particular comedy. Like, okay, but this is comedy. This is what he does. This is like not nothing new to you all. You know, this organization didn't just start 5 minutes ago. This organization has been around. And I guarantee you, let's go one deeper. I guarantee you they watched the Chappelle show and was laughing.
Well, you know they watching. Somebody watching. I don't know who they got, but whoever they got that's policing them, where you at to come police my stuff? Because they got it going on.
But they have people probably sitting right in that audience watching his show, say, "Oh, well, I can't believe he said that."
And guess what?
On social media. You know
and guess what?
So,
his mission was accomplished because you bought a ticket.
Right. And that's the whole purpose. It's like, whatever you can say whatever you want to say about the man, but the thing of it is that he speaks his truth.
And I like him, and guess what?
That interpretation. You don't like it, oh well. You're not gonna kill culture. Culture is gonna live.
And that's what we have to stand up for culture. We have to stand up, and that's why I love me some Dave Chappelle, because he is freaking hilarious. And he actually, they had it where it was like canceling, you know, the news everywhere. I watched all the little articles and stuff, and it is convenient being in my hand. I don't got to go get papers and stuff now. But he actually said, you know, it was like cancel Dave Chappelle. Well, now guess what? They're not canceling him anymore. I know, because he don't care. He gives no cares.
And if anything, they probably gonna give him another deal and say, come on, do some more.
Right. You had, look, our streaming went up like 100%. Yes.
There you go.
He don't care. What did he walk away from? What, 50 million? Was it 50 million?
$50 million. And like I said, people do that all the time, but that's not gonna stop anything. Like I said, if it's business and it's big business, and Netflix is big business.
Yes. How about that? They made a come up with the COVID. The COVID helped some people. It definitely did. I want to hurry up and move on because our time is running out. Sage Steele. Did you see that? ESPN anchor? They canceled her. She got fired because she was speaking on another platform, and I kind of understood what she was saying, but it was so interesting that she said that vaccinations, it was sick and scary. That was one. And then she asked the question about, President Obama saying how he identified as Black, but was raised by a white mother and grandmother. Society, and I wanted to key in on that. I'm like, can I raise my hand, ma'am, please pick me. Society actually identified him as Black. He looks Black. And to my understanding, she's mixed as well.
Yeah.
I think she's mixed as well. But the Sage Steele, is she mixed? I think she's biracial.
I don't know. But
don't quote me on the lovely people. Don't quote me on it. Check into it. But I think I read somewhere, but you know, you got to watch where you get it from. And then like I do read the Hill, and we know the Hill's right wing. I read the Hill so I can see what's going on over there. Yeah, you know what I'm saying? But that was, those comments got her terminated because I think that producers and management, all of them feel as though the people will stop watching the ESPN and their numbers will plummet. But here's the thing, and this is my question to you. Do you think she got terminated because she asked that question about or made that statement about President Obama? Or that she spoke against the mandation of vaccinations?
Well, most likely because it's the most controversial thing right now. I'm going to go with the fact that she spoke about the vaccination because they're trying to mandate people to do that. And there's so many mixed emotions about the vaccination that, you know, people are like, you know, people are leery because it's not FDA approved in a sense. You know what I'm saying? They've had to take it off. They've had ones they've had to take off and do different things with. And it's like people are saying, you know, they ain't feeling no better. You know, it's so many different things with it. You know, it's very controversial. I feel like you that's not something that people should have to be mandated to do. You know, that's by choice. That's my opinion.
Now, I was watching a show that said, they said to, I'm paraphrasing, and I think it was Claudia Jordan. I think it was on that platform where they were talking about comparing that to unprotected sex. Saying like, you don't want to get this, you don't know what's in this vaccine, but you'll go and have sex with somebody and don't know what they got going on with their bodies.
Right.
I want to hear again, I wanted to raise my hand. Ma'am, pick me. Here's where this is where I get what she's trying to say. I understand, you know, where she's trying to go with that and use the comparison. However, comma, they made a choice to sleep with that person. So if you want to use sex, compare that to unprotected sex, compare it to unprotected rape. And I'm saying that. Now, let me say this, let me clear it up. The views of myself are not the views of the co-host or Shop Talk with Mel. Now, am I against it? I'm not. If you are able to get it and are healthy enough to get it, go for what you know, but it's all about choices. And that's why I said, if you want to use the unprotected sex, use unprotected rape or even protected rape, period, just rape. That wasn't your choice. It was, boom, made to do. So that's use the context clues, people. Don't just snippet this and be canceling Shop Talk with Mel. Talk about something, she said this. Context clues, hear all of this, the complete statement. If you want to use that, and I'm saying that for if you want to say unprotected sex, you got to look at the bigger picture. And it's all about choices. And some people feel like they don't want it, they don't have to have it. I want to put this out here though, because I feel obligated to do so. Getting the vaccine, the CDC says, and I'm paraphrasing, you guys can look it up. It says you'll have less hospitalizations and less deaths, you know, if you get the vaccine. Now that's according to the CDC, check it out, that's it. But I like that they said less. It wasn't definitive, like, boom, you won't get COVID, you know what I mean? That's not on there like that.
Well, the key
but
word
your
is
your recovery most of the time will be better.
And that's not effective, you know. And to me, it's like with the whole controversy behind the vaccination, like I said, it's a choice. I feel it should be a right. It's been a right for a long time. If you want to get a flu shot, go get a flu shot. If you don't, but there are some companies that do actually do that now, especially when you work in the medical field and you work with people.
But there's consequences.
Right.
Like, who was it? Kyrie? Is that his name? The one New York. I can't even think of his. I think it's Kyrie. He doesn't want to get the vaccine, and he has to pay in the thousands of dollars. It ended up being like each game it'll be like 15 million or something like that. I wrote it down, I left it. But that's the consequence of not getting the vaccine for the NBA players. You know, you have it. We're gonna revisit this, but let's you guys feel free to call in and say exactly what topic you want to talk about, and we got you. 619-902-2287, 619-902-2287, and join us. I want to bring it local. I want to bring it local because we have just regained control with stipulations, talking about us, the public, the school board, you know, out of state control. And I so graciously, Ronald, he is now the appointed president, but he's a school board member before, and when state took over totally, state control, he took over totally. I just got some questions because this whole cancel culture thing is here. It's here locally. And what I saw, which really blew my mind and upset me, was that when before state took over, before the state takeover, people were like just sleeping. And I was out there rallying as well. Like, hello, wake up. Do you see what's going on? Because my vote does count. And I don't want somebody, I don't want a dictatorship. You know what I mean? And it's like, this is what's happening. It's becoming a dictatorship, and I don't want it to be a dictatorship. And then people waited to the end. And then all of a sudden, there's nothing we can do. And then you had those who continue to fight. And I'm be honest, I'm one of them. I just believe we need to be able to have choices, as you stated, RB, choices, instead of somebody just saying. And it was quiet while the state took over. And then now the state, we kind of got control with stipulations back in the area, I believe, because I try to stay current on the stuff. That's why I wanted to have a member, the president, to come on to explain this. But then you have all these people that was talking so bad in the state, this and the board and the board and the board and the board. And then now, okay, it was quiet, like I was saying. And then the NAACP ticked me right off. And it ticked me right off because now the board is back. You just want somebody to argue with? Like, come on. And I'm back to that same thing what Dave Chappelle was talking about. You have the LGBTQ community that's going to sit there and be consistent. And then you have us that aren't, or we're fighting amongst each other. Like, come on. Why? Why? So let's just give our guests a warm round of applause. Let's see, I probably can't even get it right now. So welcome, President Ronald Shad of the Youngstown City School District. Did you hear a little bit of what I said?
I heard the tail end, and it's sort of I did a radio show earlier today, and there was some members of the NAACP that called in, to ask questions about the plan.
Thank you for coming on.
Yeah, oh no, not a problem at all. You know, what I want to first say is that this opportunity of what we were doing here in Youngstown under the state legislation was opened up to everyone. We had meetings designed for everyone to come learn about the process, see what was going on. And the biggest piece here is that we have to understand what this opportunity means for us. It's not a great opportunity, I'll tell you that, just because of it's a one-shot chance to get our education system back. And what I stated earlier was that the emphasis is that if the state was doing a better job than what they believe we could do, they would not have gave us an opportunity to have a pathway out of academic distress. So when we look at the last 5 years, which this plan is based off the baseline of our students' performance, we've seen a tremendous dip in our students' performance. Some of that was due to COVID, but if you look at the prior years, 2017-18, 2018-19, there was a slide as well. So this is an opportunity for us to, show growth for students, show proficiency for students. That's what this plan is designed to do. And it's designed to do that based off of how we evaluate children with our self-assessments and how we compare it to the state test as well. And when we looked at this, it was revealing, because all of this process, throughout this process, there's been a lack of information shared with the community. There's been no transparency, even with us as elected officials. If we want information, we have to submit a records request. So, yes.
With the state, when the state had actually taken over, I remember the CEO hung a F report card, and that was, look, he didn't hide that from the public, because I was kind of irritated by it. It was an F, to my understanding. And then we're at what is it, a 2% right now?
So we're actually, when it comes to math scores, if that's what you're referring to,
yes,
the schools that dipped to single digit performance for all grade levels except for the third grade. Third grade is 12 point, I think it's got the numbers here. I think it's 12.5% that they did to, but all the other grade levels are somewhere in between like 2% to 9%.
that's what I'm saying. See, that one meeting, y'all got to catch up with me. I'm sorry, because I'll be sitting there. That one meeting really blew my mind when whoever from the NAACP, see, that's why I don't come, because see, I'll be out of order. They will escort me out, because I was so annoyed with, I think you guys have to present a plan and an attainable plan to keep your board, right?
Yeah. So when this is how the state legislation was laid out, we had to improve the plan that was in place. We couldn't make a radical departure from what was actually happening. We had to build off of what was in place. So when we got the plan that was in place, we noticed that, well, there's no targets for years, so how are you measuring performance? You're not, there's no level of accountability for that. So we had to come in and build out that accountability. And that's what we've done. And we've done that looking strategically at the issues that have faced our district. One of those things, I mean, like I mentioned before, is COVID, but the other thing is, how are we supporting our students? How are we supporting our teachers? Are we ensuring that we have the proper supports in place? To give you a clear example of this, for our reading, through K through 8 reading, we have 4 days of intervention for reading, only 1 day for math. So when we talk about these math scores are in question, so when we talk about those math scores, we have to look at it systematically to show that there hasn't been the investment needed. So what we want to do as a board is to ensure that investment is made into the classroom. We're giving teachers the support they need to be able to educate students. And the support has to go beyond how we coach teachers. It has to be boots on the ground, bodies working with students and families understanding the regiment that is needed in order for like, you should come into the third grade knowing your timetables. We have to make those expectations in every household, to
get those cards again.
Yeah. I mean,
remember the cards we used to have?
Yeah, seriously, we're in a situation where it's going to take a community united. Community united. Like, I mean, we need the Avengers, we need the Justice League of our community to come together for this. And that the crux of that is encouragement for students, empowerment for parents, and just support. Like, we have to have one unified vision on how we go forward, and that has to be no regrets, no excuses, attacking these issues.
So everybody coming together.
Everybody coming together, us looking at okay.
Let me ask you this, to go back. So the 2 to 9 for the math, I know that you guys have to present a plan that's obtainable, right? Make sure that I'm right. So what is yours? So you're trying to get them up to a what?
So the requirement was that it was the words, and I have the documentation here. I
But
pulled
just
out a whole
paraphrase,
bunch.
just paraphrase.
Basically, it has to be ambitious and achievable and realistic.
Yeah, achievable. That's the word I'm talking about,
Yeah,
obtainable. But
yeah.
yeah,
But
you don't want to.
attainable. I mean, it's attainable.
Yeah.
Yeah. Mhm.
So it's what, 14 or 15? What was it that you guys said? And that's when that guy stood up and said,
We
only that.
estimated under what we see was happening in the current year. Now we're saying these estimations having no control over how we implement change, right? So we're making projections off of performance that we have no control over. So off of that performance, we estimated that we can increase it by 129%,
Okay.
right? Without changing anything. But when you look at 129% compared to where we were at, you're talking about 16% overall. Right. But that's where the numbers are. And so but my thing is, like, it's been mentioned to us, it's like, well, we don't believe the expectations are high enough. No one is going to any student and saying give 50%. What we're looking at are the how can I say?
So in lay terms, help me to understand this. So let's say I got an F and
Yes.
you like, okay, well, we're gonna at least get her at a C, but
Okay.
not. So is that like the equivalence versus that guy talking about something? Why are you gonna get her a C? Get her an A. To me, I don't think that's achievable.
Well, I mean, the thing is that we believe all things are possible, right? We're shooting 100% for every student to be proficient.
Right.
That is the bottom line. The reality of it is that we are going to have to put in supports. We are going to have to do remediation. We are going to have to make sure our classrooms are equipped, our teachers are highly qualified and engaged in this process and have the support they need. So when we're talking
Isn't
about
it a certain time though? Didn't you have a time frame though?
We have 3 years.
See, that's what I'm saying. Like that was.
So we have 3 years, but what people need to understand is that even if they consider these calculated measurements of growth low, think about where we're at. Think about how we have cascaded. And I know that's a beautiful word, cascade.
Yes, beautiful. I saw all the sparkles.
Like, yeah, but the thing is that look how, like, the scores have dipped over these past 5 years. There is work that we need to do to just reincorporate STEM education, reincorporate 3D printing, foreign language, even our music programs.
What happened to
that have been taken away? They've been taken away under state control. So we have to bring that stuff back. I was at the Youngstown nonviolence march that was held by the city, which was designed by our students. Our students went down to the state of Ohio and got that and made that an official week. Our students, Youngstown City School students, and I believe that was in like 2008, but it's part of Sojourners to the Past Peace or whatever. But I mean, this is the quality of students that we produce. Those who strive to be better academically, but those who leave with a sense of citizenship to change tomorrow. No. And we want to add to that. Go
ahead.
To that tradition.
Okay.
So
no, go ahead. I want you to finish your point because I want to ask how many seats are up for election.
Yeah. So when we look at this plan, we can't look at it as a sum of its parts. We have to identify, like, for example, we have local assessments. Those local assessments are based off of our students' performance and our growth. So there's 5 areas, right? So to simplify it, 1 is the top, 2 is next, 3 is the midway, 4, 5. So in last year, when we had 7% proficiency on the test, we only had 17% growth. Right? So that meant that you might have had some children that were at a 5 move to a 4, some children at a 1 move to, at a 2 move to a 1. So this system and the things that we're tracking and how we're trying to influence the growth, the performance of students is so multifaceted. There's so many approaches that we have to take. So this is just an outline of what we think we can do, but people need to understand the legislation, and the legislation This year we have no control, but we can use the performance of this year to create new benchmarks. So let's say we see, oh, everybody's at 16%. We're not going to stay at 16%. We're going to up it. You know what I mean? So, but the thing is that we have to take an accountability what the system currently, without our input, without the board's input, has yielded, and it hasn't yielded the success that we want.
Okay.
Yes.
When did the board get reinstated?
Okay, so I'll make some clear. Bring some clarity to that. Technically, we have not. The governing body has always been there. Okay. HB 70 removed the board's ability to have any managerial operational control of the district, but it was there.
What year?
Right?
HB 70.
HB 70 came in. It was signed into law in 2015. Took effect here 2016.
Okay, what about so right now, because I know the election is coming up. So what was it, 2 months ago? When did they say, okay, when did the government say, okay, we'll give you another chance?
July.
Oh, I said 2 months ago. What month we in? October?
Well, I mean, yeah, it's October, but the thing was, and put it what you're saying in perspective as a timeline. When the biennial budget was passed, there was a provision in there to do what we're doing, submitting a plan to move our district out of academic distress. That gave us 90 days from June 30th when it was signed into law. So we submitted our plan on September 28th. Now, from that time period of when
September 28th, 2021.
Yes.
Okay.
So currently, what we're waiting on now is that for the state to get back to us to let us know if our plan has been approved. Now, okay. I will say this though. While we were building the plan, every step of the way, we were going back and forth with the Ohio Department of Education for technical assistance on what this plan is, you know, and what it became. And so the day that we submitted it, and I have that document here, we actually had two things that they wanted us to address. None of them were the math scores.
Okay, tell me this.
Right?
You know me, I'm speaking for the people. They were talking about, I remember the whole thing with the attorney fees with the previous president of the board.
CEO.
The CEO. Was it the CEO? And then
it wasn't the president.
Stop.
So.
Yeah, thank you. So it wasn't the president. Let's get that clear. It wasn't the president of the board.
No, because currently that would be me. And don't be.
No, I'm talking about the previous one. Yeah, y'all want to mix up, right?
Yeah.
Okay, but I want the people to hear. I want the people to understand and hear.
Okay, so they remember about a few years ago we put a levy on the ballot, right? And Youngstown came out and I think passed that levy by about like maybe 65%. Like Youngstown steps up every time. We can depend on our city to ensure that they make an investment in our education system, even though it's been deemed unconstitutional by the state Supreme Court. But we step up every time. So our concern at that time was that prior to that, we had a $24 million surplus. $24 million surplus that the elected board had gathered prior to HB 70, within 2 years of HB 70, 2016, 17, 17, 18. That $24 million surplus was gone, spent. And the thing about it was spent and we had no academic improvement. It was spent, it was gone.
Spent out of the classroom.
Out of the classroom. So
wait, help me.
Because you know I keep rolling.
I know we got to stay like where I'm at here. Okay, so 24 million before HB 70, the state takeover, it was $24 million in the pot. In late
surplus.
Okay.
Extra money.
Yes. Okay.
Money you hide under the mattress money.
Okay. And then I remember just was it last year or a few months back? I don't know. My time's coming together, blended, where it was like, okay, we're going to put it on the levy. And they were saying that the board said no. And then they were upset saying the board is saying, no, we can't put it on the levy and blah, 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 blah. And that wasn't the case. Go ahead.
The board was saying that we wanted accountability for how monies were being spent.
Okay, so let me break this down. So the 24 million surplus just was depleted in 2 years. And then it
Yeah.
was like, hey, we need more money. Let's put it on the levy. That's, to me, this is just me, my street talk, that we can't get it on the levy if we don't have a board in place. So guess what? I'll hear you guys for a few seconds. I need you here so that you can say, yes, put it on the levy to vote for. Now, tell me if I'm right. Wait a minute.
Yeah, you're right. And I'm going to tell
Okay.
you technically why you're right, because only an elected body can petition for funds. So that was one of the things that could not be done by a CEO.
That's why when
But you have to have a
took
board.
over, so is that why and this is just me talking, you don't have to answer. So is that why when they took over, they was like, oh, let's let them have their meetings at the federal? I shout out to you, Jacob. You know what I'm saying? Like, let them keep.
I mean, we had our levy. We had our meetings at the buildings. No one can stop us from meeting. You know what I mean? Well, let me put it like that. They could. Somebody could stop us from meeting.
Because you know what
right?
I was about to say.
I mean, they can stop
next ShopTalk meeting at the board.
Yeah, they can stop us from meeting. Let's say he was like, well, I have all managerial and operational control, and I'm not going to open up a building for you. Technically, could do that, but the optics on that would be what? Extremely horrible, right?
Okay, let me finish this. Let me finish this part because I don't want the people to get lost. So 24 million surplus. It was in there. In 2 years, all of that money was depleted. Now, hey, I need this back on the levy because we don't have any more money. And the board said, okay, we need accountability. Like, okay, we don't have a problem with it, but we need you to tell us where you're spending this money on.
Yes. So let's say this first.
Go ahead.
The way our levy is designed is that it's a renewal levy. It's no increased cost, or this isn't a new levy. And with our levy, because it goes back so far, because our citizens have been so dedicated to ensuring that our school system has the adequate funding, at least from what the citizens give. There's a clause that goes back where there's like I think it's a 12% match.
I got 2 minutes. Go ahead.
Yeah. Okay. So we're grandfathering that. Okay. Too much information. So the point was that without that levy being passed, we would have faced a 49.8% deficit without the levy, a 29.5% deficit with the levy. You see what I'm saying? So when you burn up the surplus, even when you go for the levy that's a renewal, we still had an issue of a deficit that was created under this state mandated law, under the state mandated supervision of the CEO. Okay,
RB, did you have a question?
I mean, I'm listening to everything that's being said. It's like, all I'm hearing is numbers and statistics and things of that nature. And I just feel like, I don't hear anything about, bringing our kids a better future.
Okay, that's because I asked that.
But the thing is that if we don't talk about the statistics, that doesn't equate to a future. If we're not talking about more spending in the classroom.
And that's fine if you talk about the statistics, but it's about the kids. It's like, what about their future? I mean, I understand the numbers. I understand the statistics. I hear all of that. I hear the board meetings. I hear that. I hear all those things. But like I said, our kids' future are important. There are not enough schools anymore. It's like, I feel, in my personal opinion, that, like, education doesn't even matter.
Okay, let me say this. Wait a minute, 1 second, Ron. He did say, and that's right now where they are with the board, that they put together a plan and they sent it out to get their education up because the numbers dropped. So I hear it, and some people aren't I'm a numbers person. Some people aren't numbers people, and they're like, okay, wait, I don't see this. Where he actually stated that when I was talking about the 2 to 9%, because I actually asked those questions, he was saying that was in the math. And that is where, I kind of go to the meetings and hear them a lot. So I kind of know, I got some background information where their levels drop, their education levels. So we want to pull them back up. But that was my question. So you should have asked a educational question, even though I didn't give you time.
I will say this though. Originally, I stated that we had programs removed when we talk about foreign language. I think I mentioned that during here. I had an interview earlier. So So we want to regain our foreign language programs. We want to engage, re-engage students in music. We want to ensure
Why
that there's
are
STEM
these
education.
programs, why are these programs being removed?
Ask the CEOs.
That's who did it.
The elected board, the elected board created the programs. The CEO removed them.
The STEM program. That's what he's saying.
STEM, music too. Yeah.
It sounds more like a corporation than the actual, you know, it's like I'm hearing all the CEOs and the boards and things of that nature.
And that's why I had an issue. That's why I had an issue. And that's why I was saying with the CEO is a
It does not
dictatorship.
sound like they care about education. They care about having a board. They care about having a CEO. They're removing things that kids need too.
The board didn't, but you gotta hear it. Did you hear him though? The board didn't. That's what I'm with you, Art. I'm with you because I said the same thing. That's why I felt like the CEO
why are
was.
these things being removed?
Wait, you gotta listen. You gotta listen.
I'm hearing them.
But you ain't hearing me.
I'm hearing you. Go ahead.
What I'm saying is, when you said why is the board removing him, you're not. He said the board didn't, which I know the board didn't.
Okay, excuse me. Excuse me.
Wait, hear me. The CEO removed them, and that's why he's saying all of the money was taken out of the classroom. That's why I asked that. So it sounds like, and this is just me, it sounds like you just on the attack of against whoever. That's what it sounds like, because you're not even listening to me.
I'm not attacking against whoever, but it sounds like a corporation. That's what it sounds like to me.
Well,
you know,
I mean,
it doesn't sound like, you know what I'm saying? It does. I mean, this is, I'm going to say I'm a little green. You know, I don't know all the numbers. I don't know all statistics and things of that nature, but it sounds like a corporation. It doesn't sound like, you know, from what I grew up when it came to a school board.
Well, we grew up with a board.
Well,
that's our opinion.
Yeah, the thing is that when you're operating from a board level, you have to take in consideration those numbers. You have to take in consideration what has, and this is maybe what I do. Maybe I communicated poorly, right? But the
you didn't communicate poorly. You're communicating the way that you know. This is what you know. This is what you do. So you're not communicating poorly. I'm just sounding, to me, like I said, it sounds like a corporation. That's my opinion.
Well, I mean, there very much is the business of education. I mean, you know, that's how come like we have charter schools. You know, there's charter schools out here. They're not out here because they think they do a better job. They're for-profit businesses. Well, they are for-profit businesses.
Why are there more charter schools than public schools anymore?
Well, state legislation is why. And the state legislation has open enrollment. Even now, there's a change in the legislation where there can be vouchers given to schools that are performing highly. Students they want it to where you can have your choice of going wherever you want to. But the problem is that the state has not mandated that all school districts or all educational institutions in Ohio for K through 12 are held accountable at the same level. So what we find out in the district is in most cases, we have students that may go to a charter school, then they end up coming back to the Youngstown City schools for high school, that we have to do a level of remediation because they haven't been taught at level or whatever the issue has been. And if you notice that most charter schools only go through K through 8, why aren't they making high schools? Because the accountability is there at the high school level. Then when we get students, we're in a situation of having to really, I'd say remediate, but truly look at how we build in those supports. You know, and right now we have a district where the supports aren't currently there. We have teachers that feel like they're overwhelmed and the only assistance they get is through professional development. But we need more bodies. We need a smaller classroom number per teachers. But what we're lacking is that we need those professionals in education, and every district does. You know, so there are some challenges that we have to face, and the root cause to what we're trying to do when we talk about these numbers, these statistics, is the bottom line of how do we increase student performance. Everything associated in our plan is purely academic. It talks on reading, it talks on math, it talks on government, it talks about graduation rates, it talks about the new graduation seals that students must have in order to be able to graduate. It's all based upon things that are, I mean, these are what they call it, these aren't butter issues, these are gun issues. You know what I mean? We are trying to ensure that there is a strategic approach to increase student performance.
Okay. All right. Now, Ron, how many open spots are there for the Board of Education?
Okay, technically there's 4 open spots, but there's when I say 4, this is what happened. We had a board member at the last election who did not take their seat. So there was an appointed person. When that appointed person was Mr. Jerome, Deputy Sheriff Jerome Williams. So when he was appointed, he had to run for re-election. Now he's not being challenged, he's uncontested. So he's pretty much gonna be there to finish out the remainder of a 2-year term.
Okay.
And if he chooses to, and at the end of that, he can run again. So technically, there's 3 seats open. I mean, not technically. Technically, there's 4.
Okay.
Yeah, but there's 3. There's 3 that have competition.
Okay. Well, thank you so much for coming on, and at my request, I truly appreciate it. I know you were pretty
Not
busy
a problem.
and
well,
explaining that to me.
In this world, we got a day job. I got to go out here and go to work. But the thing is, every opportunity to bring more clarity what we are trying to achieve at the district is so paramount. And I just ask that, you know, if you do choose to vote for me, give me the support I need to be able to move forward. We have one opportunity to save our education system. It is through this plan. We want to get it done. We want to ensure that there is a future of education in this school district. I mean, if you look at people and you look at, like, you know, there's people that had so much pride about graduating from Wilson or South, or let's go back to North or whatever it was, right? And you'd be like, well, those schools don't even exist anymore. Can you imagine a Youngstown without an East or a Cheney?
I couldn't imagine.
I mean, that's what
I couldn't even imagine it without a Rand. I'm waiting for that to come back.
Without
like
a
what Art
Rand, you know.
was saying.
I mean, but technically, we got a Rand or Youngstown Early College. We graduate associate degree students every year. They do excellent. But could you imagine the legacy that's lost from that? You know, the pride that's tied to the city. We are truly fighting for the soul of our city through our education system. I do not take this job lightly. I have put forth much effort to ensure that we had an opportunity. We have this opportunity. I want to see it through. I need the support to see it through. I want everyone at the table. And through this process, we have gave an opportunity for everyone to be at the table. And we're going to move forward. We are going to move forward united. And that united effort is going to show student improvement.
Okay.
That's what I vow to do.
Okay, great. Now tell me this. Now I know you guys have your meetings, but with COVID being out there, is it streamed anywhere?
Typically, we have to have them in. Well, by Ohio Revised Code, we have to have them in person now.
Yeah, I saw the one. That's why I was like, all right. So I guess I got to take myself out there and live stream it for the people.
We got plenty of space though. We're in Chauffin Career.
You know, because I'll be way in the bag. Anybody's pulling and zoom in. All right. Thank you for coming on and answering. Now we're going to continue with the show. We are on the vaccination. Thanks a lot, Ronald Shad.
Thank you very much. I appreciate this opportunity. Thank you.
Bye-bye. All right. I had to get that on there because I give the people what they ask for. That's what I'm all about for the community, big time. And I understand where he is, but it was, the money was actually a popular question. It was like, well, what the what? And people are out there just ready to attack a board that was just chilling because they couldn't do anything. And I believe in votes. I believe in choices, just like what Art was saying prior to. I'm like, I need control. I don't like a dictatorship. Everybody had an issue with Trump. Trump was running the country like a dictatorship. And that's how I felt with the CEO. Did I have anything personally against him? Not at all, because he was doing a job. He just happened to be the person in there. And with Justin, I like Justin. The previous Mohip, I liked Mohip, you know, but when he actually, my thought of Mohip when he first got in there, and after he did that report card and put an F, he was like, I'm going to hang my F on the refrigerator. I was irritated because are, and when I say our, my children are grown, but the children are the future. These are our next presidents, vice presidents.
That's my whole.
I get it, but when
my whole argument is like, I hear you
but
talking.
look what he put. But wait a minute. But he put, this is Moab. He put that F. He said, I'm going to hang my F on the refrigerator, the CEO. And I was hurt because you know what that said to me as a resident. And even if I was a student, I would have looked like, that's not okay. And to me, you are making fun of our future. And you're mocking them. Like, that's not cool. So I felt you. I felt you 100%, 110%. Now let's hurry up. Let's get back on this vaccination mandate and the consequences. Do you feel as though there should be consequences if you don't get mandated?
No, I don't, because I feel like that's your personal choice. And I feel like, how are you going to mandate somebody to do something that's not a law? It should be a person's choice. It shouldn't be where you should make somebody get a vaccination. And this is just me. I mean, like, what if they get a vaccination, still catch the COVID and still die? And that's happened.
It has. That's why it says less hospitalizations and less deaths.
And I'm going to say it's the government, and I've heard this, it's like they're getting more money because they're attaching everything to COVID now. Oh, okay, well, somebody had a heart attack. Well, he died of COVID.
Right.
So and get back to the education thing just slightly, it's like, I understand, and I understand some points, and I don't understand some points. I understand all statistics and all the numbers, but what about the kids? You know what I'm saying? Like, what about the parents? It's like, I feel like there is such a wide communication gap between those things. You know what I'm saying? It's like, I feel like the parents don't really get involved enough because half the time they don't know what's going on. They're not being educated, not being informed of these things that are happening. And I'm
not
like,
understanding the language.
We only got 2 schools there, right? And they don't understand the language of that. I was sitting there like, okay, because I work with Summit Academy, I do understand a lot of the lingo.
I lost you. Your mute went on. Wait a minute.
But
there you go.
It's still dealing with our kids' education. It's like, I feel like it's a system set up to fail.
Yeah, that's what we have to do. That's probably why a lot of people are doing homeschooling.
Exactly, because the education system, it's like,
and it's been an ongoing thing for a long time. People being homeschooled.
Where are we ranked at in the world with our educational system? I'm like, they always say that we're the most powerful country in the world, but when it looks at our educational system, it's like they're building more prisons than they're building schools.
Yeah, I hear that part, but the United States is up there. It's I want to say in the top 5. Yeah, it is. I'll actually give it to you. Matter of fact, I'll post it on the Shop Talk with Mel page, Facebook page, and on the website. I'll put those numbers up there so you can actually see where we are. And I understand what you're saying, because guess what? We're gonna be the ones getting knocked in the head.
Exactly.
Let's educate our people.
The whole purpose of, I believe, life is like, you're born, you know what I'm saying? You're being groomed to be educated to be a productive citizen. I believe that what we're, that's what we're
productive citizen in society.
Right. You're born, you're educated, you're taught to be a productive citizen. And I feel like we've shied away from that, because I feel like it starts with our children when they're born into this world. It's like my 1-year-old, I'm educating him now.
Oh, definitely. Definitely.
You know what I'm saying? Because it starts at home, and I feel like there should be programs set up for and there are programs set up for when you have children that age, because we were a part of that program.
But I believe it says ages 1 through 3 are the most vital.
Right. It's called Help Me Grow, and it educates parents, on how to raise their children, what to raise their children on, what to not give their children. And I feel like we need more of those programs implicated to, better assist with raising our children. We have to talk to them. We have to communicate with them, because
you should have ran for a seat.
No, I'm cool.
Man, you should have ran for a seat. Your voice need to be heard. I'm telling you, your voice needs to be heard. You got to speak out and not just settle. Not just settle. And the purpose.
I'm listening to what's going on here, and it's like, does it really matter? Because I feel like if you had $24 million in a surplus and it disappears, that's a problem. Like, where did $24 million go? It's not going.
And that's what he was trying to say. Where did it go? It was
exactly.
in there.
I heard him, and I understand what he's
and
saying.
It's like, but no, that's a legitimate question. And that's what question that I was getting. That's why I had him come on. Like,
this is what I'm saying. It's a system set up for failure.
And see, and that's how I feel as well when you have a state takeover, because what happened was that surplus disappeared after the state takeover with no explanation, and you couldn't ask. That's why I think it's so important for our voices to be heard. Listen, vote, and that's how your voice is heard. Vote for who you want to vote for. That's why I say you should run. I like your campaign right there. That was a good one. That was a good one. Somebody that's on there probably take it. Look, they probably go screenshot this and be like, I'm gonna use that. Boom.
Just real talk, because I mean, I don't know all the statistics and all the numbers.
But you don't need to.
Right, but that's his job. And that's his job to know that. But in the same token, still, it's like, what about our children? Like, I'm hearing you talk numbers, but I'm not hearing you talk about, it's like, to me, I mean, I understand what he does. I understand that he has a job.
As the president of,
but come on, talk from a parental standpoint, because you're a parent. You have to think about the kids first. It's about their future, because it's either one or two or three things that are going to happen. They're going to go to school and get educated. They're going to go to the streets, or they're going to be in the graveyard.
And you have those that go to school and are educated and end up in the street because they weren't accepted.
Right.
Because then in the graveyard. So you do have those too. Go ahead.
This is the thing I learned, that today's technology, these kids are way more advanced than what we were. So it's like, you have to keep challenging their minds.
Oh yeah. And you know what's another thing? I'm gonna say another thing that bothers me since you brought that up. Yes, challenging their minds. How about those? I'll never forget when my son was in the first grade and they wanted to put him on medication. He needs to be on medication. He needs to be on medication. But watch me. And you have a class of 21 students, 19 are medicated. Something wrong with you.
That's the system. Because here's what I learned. I worked in a school system for 2 years. I worked at Summit Academy Charter. The thing that I learned about our children, everybody has a different energy.
They do, and every child learns differently. And here's my thing, and I am going to compare a child, because they're young, to a puppy. Take it how you want. But if you have a puppy, when you first get a puppy, it's everywhere. Jump around, got all that energy, like you said, the energy. Yeah. And then eventually, it calms down.
Because
we ain't out here. Don't try to get no puppy, no dog on medication. The animal activist people be out there so quick.
You have to help that puppy or that child channel that energy.
Yes, and that's it.
If you're not channeling their energy, then
channeling, okay,
be all over the place. So if you help them focus, if you help them focus that energy, if you help them center that energy to focus on certain things and give them that right attention to help them understand and give them that positive reinforcement, because I feel like there's not a lot of positive reinforcement given to our kids.
Let me tell you about somebody that we talked about last week, Levinsky.
Right.
Successful. He shared a story. He came on the show years ago, and he said it was a mattress that was outside, and he used to jump and do flips on the mattress. So if you see that child that has all that energy, one jump on down on the couch, that sounds like, or it looks like gymnastics. Right. You know what I mean? So you have him, he can flip, tumble, he can do it all. You know what I mean? But the thing is, when we stop and hinder our children from, and don't channel it or support that energy focus that energy on what it is instead of looking at it as a negative. Say, okay, boom, they're probably going to be this, you know, when they grow up. You know what I mean? That whole thing, like I said with mine, my report card said talk too much in class. Boom, what do? I got a platform and I talk.
Exactly.
You know what I mean?
The thing of it is that, you know, it's
Hone
like
in on the energy.
you have to hone in on their energy and see where their energy is focused at. You know what I'm saying? You know, and working in the school system, I learned that. And even to the point where it was like, it was two separate floors. So the first floor had, you know, the regular kids. The regular kids were very disrespectful. You know, they would talk crazy, just say whatever to you. And then you had what they call the CAT program, which is upstairs, the kids that had different challenges, you know, that had different, you know, special needs, I would say.
Okay.
The kids that had the special needs and the challenges will walk downstairs and see me. As they got to know me, they would come up, hi, Mr. Baldwin, how you doing today? Hey, Mr. Baldwin, hey, everybody would greet me that came down those stairs. The kids on the regular floor didn't do that. Some of them did, some of them didn't. But the point of the matter is that, you know, it's how you challenge and how you help them center their energy. You know what I'm saying? And I would tell the kids all the time, because I kept it real with them. I said, it's a different world. We get outside these four walls. You know, and I would talk to them about the place.
It truly is, but I will tell you, I don't understand, which makes me gravitate more to them, to our youth. But when you stand your ground, and I think that's where the problem is, when you stand your ground and you say, I do things this way, because I'm that person, get off my grass. I am.
Right.
I be the nicest person you want to be, but don't step up on my grass. Yes, I'm that neighbor. However,
I know a couple of people like that.
Yeah, but it's like when you stand your ground and this is the way you greet me. If somebody comes to me, actually an adult too, you can't come and be like, what up? And think I'm gonna date you.
No.
And you know what I mean? Be like, huh? Yeah, what is up? But even the students, if they come and they talking to you, hey, B, or they person in front of you and you don't correct it because they're not talking to you, that's an issue. And I think we have become so lax, and that's what's nuts. Bringing it back to Dave Chappelle, we become so lax that it becomes our norm. And we're like, oh, okay, nothing's gonna be done anyway, and you give up. We have to stop giving up and press forward and know what it is that we want and continue to have and talk about what's bothering us. Now, back to the young lady who I thought was biracial, when she said Obama identified as Black, being raised by a white mom and a white grandparent. Tell me your thoughts on biracial children identifying as one or the other. Because let's go with—
You really can't. Because you're two races mixed in one.
And I think how about this? I saw where it was a biracial girl and she dated white guys and they call her a sellout.
That's not a sellout. It's a right. You have a right to date you have a right to date a person who's green or checkered. If that's what you love.
But why is she considered a sellout?
She's not a sellout. That's not a sellout. She's choosing to date who she wants to date. If her mother is white and her father is Black and she associates more with whatever side that she wants to be a part of, that is her choice. You can date who you want to date. You know what I'm saying? So for me, my thing of it is that if you are biracial, you it's like I used to say, I don't like to use the word biracial. I like to say swirl. I say you're the best of both worlds.
Okay.
Because, you know, you have Black, you have white. So you're just a combination of both your parents. So for me, I feel like date who you want to date. That's your business. You know what I'm saying? It doesn't matter, you know, because you have a Black parent and you have a white parent. I used to date a woman who was biracial, but I never saw that. I said she a swirl. I said she a best of both worlds. That's what I jokingly said. And getting back to the Obama statement, because people killed me with that Obama thing. And I was standing in the hallway of Summit Academy one day, and I was talking to an older teacher. And he says, how does it feel to have the first Black president? I said, first of all, he ain't Black. And he was like, I said,
okay.
I said, when he marks the box, he marks other. because his mother is white and his father is Kenyan. So therefore, I said he's the first president of color.
There you go. You correct. And see, you correct him. You didn't stand for it. It's
And
like, no, let me
when
correct
he
you.
thought about it, now this is an older gentleman. This gentleman has been in education for 40 some odd years. But when I hit him from that perspective, he said, like, you're right. You know what I'm saying? I said, because he's not black or white, he's a president of color. So he's a president that has two different descents in his bloodline. So therefore, you can't just say, I mean, yeah, of course he looks more black, so he would identify with the black side, but that wasn't Obama. Obama was a man that was about people.
People.
He didn't look at your color. He looked at the content of your character, period.
There you go. Oh, you better go ahead.
Because he
Like
understood
that
who he
Martin
was.
Luther King Jr.
He understood who he was. So that's the thing that kills me about people. It's like, it's about, you know, and I was having a discussion with my brother, and we were talking about how people, you know, I said,
I got to go to a viewer. I got to go to a viewer real quick, okay? This is Youngstown's Dime. I heard that. Youngstown's Dime said, that's the part these kids are having kids and don't know how to raise them. So here comes the doctor saying what they need. Okay, thank you for your comment. Had to come there. Then someone else agreed with you, Art. Latoya said, right, it's definitely about the future of our children. So there you go. Okay, look, I'm like, I had to go to the viewer real quick. But you said you were having a conversation with your brother. Go ahead, we got 2 minutes.
Having a quick conversation with my brother, we were talking about, you know, how you identify nowadays, you know what I'm saying? And it bothers me that people have to say, well, for instance, like, hi, my name is Art Baldwin, I'm a heterosexual male. Hi, I'm
Isn't that nuts?
That drives me crazy, because in reality, it's not about your sexuality, it's about who you are as a person. And that's what people miss. But there's, you know, with the community, they've added so many, you know, well, you have to let people know who you are. And I understand that people have dealt with different emotional issues with identifying with things, but in the same token, it's like, that doesn't matter to me.
Can
like,
I just be me? You know, and it's like,
it's about the person that you are. It's not about, like, if you, and like I said, you could be gay, straight, bi, it don't matter. How do you treat people? How do you live your life?
Can we really? Because look at Dave Chappelle, and I'm gonna go right to a viewer. Damon said, talking about Dave Chappelle, he proved this point about how gay community will try to comfort you if you express your opinion. And it's almost like not even just, you know, I don't even want to just say with the gay, just the community period. It's like, if you don't agree with the masses, then you need to be canceled. I.e. I didn't forget the child's names. What is this? Sage Steele, the girl off of ESPN. So she didn't agree with the masses, be it right or wrong, but the masses said you need to answer this way. And I'm saying masses, not master. The masses, they're like, okay, this is what we're pushing. This is the narrative that we're pushing. So either you're on our team or you're not, just like with Kyrie. And like I was saying, yes, if you don't want to, you know, for mandations or anything like that, you disagree with mandations, I agree with you as well. There's consequences. And usually if you don't like it, you'll go ahead and leave. Like they had that hospital where the nurses walked out because they didn't agree with the mandation. Right. And it's like, oh, okay, I'm out of here. They had to shut down the maternity ward.
But people forget that they work with doctors. So it's like, if they work with doctors, sometimes the doctors are going to tell the truth and let it be known. Like, I'm going to say this.
Nothing. Or say nothing.
All right, or say nothing. I'm going to say this. I was talking to a doctor. I'm not going to say the doctor's name.
Thank you.
But the doctor stated to me, because we were having a conversation about the vaccination.
Okay.
And, you know, and I got into it with a person. I'm not going to say who I got into it with, but they was like, you need to be vaccinated. Da, 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 da. I said, I'm not getting that. And when I talked to the doctor about it, the doctor says, I understand both sides of the argument, but when he said, I don't have enough information about this stuff.
Yeah.
So the one thing that this doctor did tell me truthfully is that the body does build antibodies against the COVID.
And if you have it. You should have antibodies.
And here's the thing.
But they don't know the efficacy of it.
If you go to your doctor and get your blood checked, you'll be able to tell if you have antibodies. Because your body builds antibodies to fight it off.
And you know what I did? I spoke with several physicians as well because of the question that was given to our team in ShopTalk with Mel, and it said about the Delta variant. They said that that's what's here now, and does the COVID vaccine cover the Delta variant? I did my legwork, and I talked to physicians, and they told me what they told me. They don't have enough information. That's what they. So it was still a I don't know, and that's silent. I mean, that's science. That's your science. And
So
then you have people say, listen to the science, but you have, and here's what's interesting. The argument that non-science people have, some people that I know, they're like, listen to the science. And I'm thinking, that would be me. So listen to myself, thank you. You know what I mean? Because they don't know what you do. And you're right, doctors and nurses, science, you learn it, and then it's like, what?
Here's my thing. If you don't have enough information about something, such as this
vaccine, are you buying it? Are you buying it?
Why are you, here's my thing. If you don't have enough, if they don't have enough information about it, why are you trying to force people to take something that they don't have enough information about?
It's a good question. That's why I say you have to do what's best for you. If you're able to take it and you feel like you want to do it, take it. And if not, don't. But don't sit there and try to bully the person that didn't take it.
That's the problem that I have. I understand that they're trying to solve the problem of how to encapsulate it and try to get the numbers down. I understand how they're trying to do that, but you can't do that by forcing people to take something that you don't even have enough information for. It's like you threw something together real quick and said, all right, let's give it to them.
Yes. Now I will say this information. In 1991, they were starting to work on the cure for the coronavirus. And to my understanding from reading, I don't know how true it is because, it's all secondhand because I didn't go into the White House. But to my understanding, President Obama had a whole book of what to do step by step that was passed to President Trump, and he didn't read it. Or he
don't read nothing. He don't care.
So,
he don't care about nothing.
And now we're in this situation. But like I said, this is secondhand, me reading different things, and just people write what they write. So it could have been watered down, but you guys check into that yourself. They don't have encyclopedias. Anyway, this encyclopedia wouldn't be out yet, but when it come out, I'm gonna read it and see what's really going on, okay? Let's talk about what happened on The View real quick, and then we're gonna get up out of here. Whoopi, on The View the other day, the chick from Shark Tank was on there, and you want to go ahead? Did you see it? Did you?
I did watch that clip, and I feel like, I mean,
let me say this for the people that didn't see it. The listening audience, the listening audience who didn't see it, watch The View. Whoopi was on The View, and it was the little thin lady from the Shark Tank, and she ended up telling Whoopi, she said, Whoopi, you take those pants off, I can make 2 of your pair of pants. And other people on the show, Anna ended up, cutting into it and talked about her dress. She clapped at her. They feel as though that Whoopi was fat shamed. Now, that's what they're like. She was fat shamed. The people, whoever these people are, they came out, the Whoopyites. They came out now they're, going down on this girl and telling her, she was fat shamed. But Whoopi said that they were friends for a long, long time. And is there a time and a place for certain jokes?
You don't disrespect the host on national television. Whoopi has so much love and respect on that show. You know what I'm saying? Whoopi has been a staple on that show for a long time. You don't come on, that's like me coming on and be like, oh, Mel, your background is whack. Because that's disrespectful, because you're the host. You have a certain respect for the host. You know what I'm saying? You don't come on the host and diss the host, regardless of the fact that we've been friends over 30 years, but I would never come on here and disrespect you because you're the host.
You'll tell me after we get off air.
What's that?
They said, tell me after we get off air, Mel, that's whack.
You know what I'm saying? Right. Okay, you could joke when you're off air, but some people say things without thinking sometimes. And I feel like that was a moment that, you know what I'm saying, when she dissed Whoopi, it was like, other people's like, did you just diss my girl like that? It turned into that type of thing. Like they was sitting at the table in the, you know, like in a pizzeria somewhere, and they was just like, hold up, did you diss my girl?
And it came back. She was like, your dress was on the show
Right.
2 other times or whatever.
Because it turned from a show to personal. You know what I'm saying? That was a personal diss. It wasn't about no fat shame. It was like you dissed her on national TV. It's her show. She's the moderator, and you dissed the moderator. That's totally wrong. When she did that, she was all the way out of pocket. Sorry.
Did you, when you seen it, did you even know where it came from?
No, I don't even know where it came from.
Some context clues, like I was saying, don't look at the clips and think. I was watching it, and it was just
in my mind, I'm like, why would she say that on TV? Like that was something, you know, that was something
they wasn't even talking about. They was talking about vaccines,
right?
And then all of a sudden that came.
Right, and that was so out of order to me. It was like, did she just really talk about her pants? Like maybe she was trying to throw off from the vaccine thing. I don't know the woman's mindset, but my whole thing of it is, it's like when I saw it, I was like, why is she coming for Whoopi? You know what I'm saying? Like that was totally disrespectful. You don't disrespect Whoopi Goldberg, but Whoopi is such a G, and I'm gonna say it, that she just like, okay, it's like that. I'll let you later. Because Whoopi didn't say a word. You know what I'm saying?
And she just did a tweet. She did a tweet and she followed up and she said that they were friends for a long time and she knows her very well. Yeah, I think it was a joke gone bad. Like, but she's not a comedian.
It should have never
You know
been.
what I mean? She's not a comedian.
It should have never been said, regardless of the fact of you known somebody for a long time. You do not come on their show, her show. That's Whoopi's show, and diss the host. That is just wrong. Like I said, I'm not.
You know, Whoopi is a comedian. She could have clapped back real quick.
Right. She could have killed her. She could have just annihilated her right there. But the love and respect Whoopi has, you know, her girl was like, yo, your dress been on here twice.
Right.
So it's like, sit down and chill with all of that. But even her, she was out of pocket because I feel like it was still a diplomatic way it could have been handled, but it got personal. So her girl got personal, like, how you dissing Whoopi? Are you crazy? You know, you don't diss our girl on TV. This is business. This is what we do. You respect the host. Just like I respect you, I can't come on your show and like I said, and just diss you. People gonna be like, well, dang, he just dissed her like that. You know, if I said something crazy to you, people gonna be right in like, why are you talking to Mel like that? You don't
Mel about to call. Look, it's live. Look, live on Shop Talk with Mel. Be the clap back, be coming back. But yeah, it's just, and The View, you know, that's more of a conservative, well, they're Democrats, but conservative show. Right, you know, where it's like, why you're on the wrong show? You need to be on the real. You know what I mean? And then Whoopi is like highly respected.
Right.
Like, period.
That's what I'm saying. She has put in so much time and effort with that show, and she has built that show to where it is, where people have gone and left and came back and did different things.
And she's still there.
Been a staple.
She's a consistent.
And how she has
handled things
how she has handled things so diplomatically at times on that show where it got heated, and Whoopi like, hold up, y'all, I got to deal with that. Because Whoopi is a real sister. I have love and respect for her because of her realness, and yet she has learned how to master the art of keeping it diplomatic on that show and say, wait a minute, we're not going to take it here. We're going to bring this back because it's enough disrespect and shade thrown in this world we're not going to do that on here. We're going to keep it this way.
All right, I'm going to go to one more viewer and we're getting ready to end the show. Close the show, okay? I won't say end, but maybe they cancel me. One young lady said, just like the anthrax vaccine, while I was active duty, they didn't tell them anything, and it was just, you got to get it. She said, STFU, you guys know what that is. You got to get it. Now, here's the thing, and I'm glad that she spoke out, that's Youngstown's, because she was in the military. So you do have people that are saying, well, in the military, they get everything. Well, I didn't sign up for the military. You know what I mean? So you just can't expect everybody to do the same things. And Laura said she was talking about the Whoopi Goldberg incident on The View, and she said she was wrong and inappropriate for that. And I agree 110%. Today's footnote is make the choices that are best for you. Remember, it is always okay to be you. Find you, embrace you. Most importantly, always, always love you. Until next week, people, Shop Talk right here on your favorite podcast.
Thanks again, Mel. I appreciate it. Much love to everybody. Peace.
Yes.
Later.
Yes.